everyone, it's Jess here. It's time to finish up my sketchbook. I thought it would be fun if we do it together, and I'll show you guys the process of some illustrations along with the Q&A. I asked you guys on my Instagram to ask some questions along with the YouTube community tab, and oh boy did I get so many, but I'll do my best to answer as many as possible. After receiving over 300 responses, there were a few that were extremely common, and the first one I'd like to touch on is how I get motivation, how I stay inspired, how I can constantly produce new ideas, and how I'm able to doodle the way I do. Coincidentally, it's perfect that doodling was incorporated into the question because most of my creativity and ideas come from that. Simply sitting down and just getting your pencil moving on your paper will form out new ideas, new pictures, and eventually one little drawing will lead to another. You begin to surprise yourself on what comes into your mind, and it becomes sort of a fun game and puzzle that you unravel. And lately, I've been having plenty of ideas and kind of thoughts in my head that I'm itching to draw and implement in my work. And I genuinely love creating and painting, drawing, so I'm always thrilled to begin. And I know it may sound funny, the fact that you can just sit down and just begin drawing and then things begin to happen, but it really is true and it really works. I believe that everybody has a fun way of doodling and their own personal way of expressing things. So there really is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just really how you want to do it and how you want to express yourself. This drawing that I'm doing in my sketchbook is strictly doodles and just things that were coming into my mind at the moment. So if you haven't yet tried to doodle and just let your pencil or pen or paintbrush flow, sit down with your favorite music or podcast and just give it a try. And one more note about staying inspired. I always like to say that inspiration is all around us, and I truly am inspired by my surroundings, any objects that I can set up to paint from life, also any views that I have outside my window. I see life in such a beautiful perspective that I just want to capture the beauties of the world. As cheesy and corny as that sounds, it really is true. And it genuinely brings me joy to bring my memories and moments of life and translate them to a painting or drawing, which is why I love urban sketching and drawing from life, because once I look back at that moment or that sketch or painting, whatever it is, I'm instantly brought back to that memory, and just the feeling of creating keeps me motivated, and just the simple fact of creating is just what I live and breathe and love to do. I received another question regarding inspirations, on whether or not I am ever inspired by old masters like Caravaggio and Michelangelo, and 1000% yes. I have a shelf designated to all of my favorite books on them. I cherish them and I always look back at them to keep myself inspired. Some of my favorite old masters include Anders Zorn, John Singer Sargent, Monet, Leonardo da Vinci, Turner, and guys, the list goes on and on. I especially love seeing some of the old masters' work in different mediums. As you guys know, I love experimenting and using all the mediums, and just seeing the old masters' work change throughout the different mediums that they used makes me fall in love with the books and the pictures and all the paintings every time. I definitely gained a better understanding and appreciation for all of the old masters' work after I was able to study in Italy. Seeing them in person and to be able to study there and actually observe each detail was really a breathtaking experience. And I can't stress enough how much I miss it there. I was urban sketching every single day, capturing memories and taking in just the environment. If you haven't watched my travel sketchbook tour, I have one here on my channel, and this would be the perfect time to touch up on some questions about urban sketching. Urban sketching, or you can also call plein air painting, involves sitting at location wherever you are and essentially capturing the scene. The reason that I personally love drawing outside or painting outside is because I'm really tuned into the moment. I have no time to overthink or think about what I should draw. I just simply focus on capturing what I see. I love observing, and when I'm in the moment, I'm just tunneled vision into what I'm painting or drawing at the time. And I don't know, I just intuitively create Personally, for me, it's like a meditation, and just seeing the painting come to life in my sketchbook where I am, I can't even explain the feeling. It's one of the most incredible feelings for me. It's also super fun to draw people on location. When I was commuting to the city in New York, I was always drawing people on the subway, and I constantly get asked if I ever get nervous or afraid that people are gonna look at my work when I'm drawing. But honestly, I'm not afraid at all. I actually love when people watch me draw. I think it's because usually people are smiling and they are in awe and they actually stop, and usually it's a lot of kids that come by and look at my work, and that inspires them, which is always a very special moment because they just can't stop staring and they always come up and see what I'm doing, and it's always really, really sweet of them to come and say hi. I'm a very social person, so whenever anyone comes by to see what I'm drawing, or if they're kind of curious to look, usually they're always saying, sorry, oh, can I see? Is it okay if I see? And I'm always welcoming them in to check it out. It's part of urban sketching, and it's part of learning that process and being in the moment. It's all part of the fun. It's definitely a challenge, but it was one of the most beneficial ways for improving. I'm a huge believer of drawing and painting from life, so if you haven't tried some urban sketching yet, or just drawing and painting from observation, I highly recommend it. A tip from me would be to just bring your vision of what you're looking at to life. The tree you're looking at may be green, but maybe you feel like putting down blue at the time. Everyone has their own way of expressing and showing things, so experiment with yourself, a view that you find interesting, and you will surprise yourself what you will create. And quickly, there was a question on where I would like to travel sketching internationally except Italy. My goodness, everywhere. I hope to one day have the ability to travel the world and capture all of the memories and beautiful scenery in my sketchbook or in paintings, take it all in and share it all with everyone. Can you guys tell I love urban sketching? And if you didn't know, I carry my sketchbook and some art supplies with me at all times so that I can urban sketch and capture the scenery wherever I am. Anyways, let's move on to the next question. I get this one quite a few times in the comments. If I'm going to make an art of just carp soon, I don't know, would you guys like one? I definitely would love to make a book with some tutorials, or even a book on all of my sketches from my sketchbook. I think that would be pretty cool, so let me know if that's something that you guys would be interested in. For the next question, let's talk about challenges. I constantly set challenges for myself. I have already done 100 hands, 100 heads, 100 eyes challenge. You may have seen these on my channel. And last October, I actually set a challenge for myself to create an art series. And instead of doing Inktober, I decided to do one acrylic painting per day for the whole month of October. And I titled that series/challenge Fruit Heads. Although every challenge that I have created for myself helped me grow, progress, and learn, I have to say that when I challenged myself to create one acrylic painting per day, with pushing the concept, trying out new colors, and really trying out something new, I was able to look back at the end and see them all as a group, and I felt super accomplished and proud of that project. And to this day, you guys absolutely love the fruit heads. I have to say that's one of my favorite pieces so far. I also sell all of the prints on my online shop, and they're still going strong. I really focused on that series to be funny and bright, colorful, and I really wanted to push the concept. And I also received many questions on what to do if you're feeling stuck. I genuinely think that starting a challenge for yourself and really pushing through, staying consistent and focused will help you get inspired and getting your flow back. And not only will you learn, but you will have a consistent body of work and of course something to look back on. And if you haven't yet seen my Fruit Heads videos, I recorded the whole process of all 30 on my YouTube channel. I do have a playlist on it, so I'll have everything linked below. Now let's discuss how to handle and overcome the fear of failing in art. If you're someone who gets worried about beginning because you are scared to fail, or you're scared or nervous to make a mistake, in art, you must fall in love with making mistakes and failing. After practicing and experimenting for many years, there is really no way to go around making a mistake, but only to take it as a positive learning curve And in any aspect of life and even in career, if anything ever fails, it's important that you get back up, try again, and go into the mindset of knowing that it's okay, and putting in a positive mindset as well, and more time and effort will decrease the chances of failing. Also, for example, if you were to wake up tomorrow and begin to learn to be a professional piano player, you know that as soon as you begin playing, you will make mistakes. Not everything is going to sound great, and until you put in a certain amount of time, you will not be able to produce your best performances. And the same goes with art. Failing is part of the process, and believe it or not, it is one of the most important parts. Personally, I always like to switch the perspective and find something positive. Even if I messed up or something went wrong in the drawing or in a piece of art, I know that it's always fixable, and I always try to find the positive side of everything. So next time you make a mistake or you feel that you have failed, step back from the piece and just tell yourself something that you like about it. Think about how this mistake is going to help you in the next piece. Maybe next time you're going to know what to do differently. Alrighty, let's take a look at the next question. For someone that draws occasionally and hasn't studied art, what do you recommend to self-study first? Personally, I am a firm believer that everything begins with learning how to draw. I really recommend learning first how to see and apply it to drawing. You can set up a simple object such as an apple or an egg, place it under a light source such as a lamp so you can see the harsh highlights and shadows, and simply just draw. Put in hours and hours of drawing. Start off with black and white, super simple, you don't need anything crazy. After many years, I still do this to this day to practice some skills, but you really cannot go wrong with starting to learn how to draw, and all you need for that is a pencil. I also get many questions on how I achieved my art skills and how I got to a certain level of creating. And I have to say that drawing a lot, and by a lot I mean hours and hours and years of drawing, really helped me progress. And it's definitely something that I recommend to everyone, no matter the level that they may be in. One of my Patreons asked, have you ever tried other visual mediums besides drawing and painting, like photography, etc.? Funny that you asked. Absolutely. I have actually a really big passion for photography. I love taking photos. I'm still getting the hang of videography because it's a lot of work, a lot of editing, but I absolutely love taking photos. So I'm actually thinking about getting a really nice camera to try to really focus in on photography as another hobby. If it involves creativity, count me in. Besides, it's always great to learn yet another skill. I also received a few questions regarding references and if I have any recommendations on any good websites. I am all for to take my own references or to set up what I can in front of me to draw from life. So if you have the opportunity to take a reference of a friend or a family member, I definitely recommend that. This way you are creating your own references and you are setting up the position and lighting the way you need it. Many artists and old masters actually had someone sitting for them in their studio so that they can sit and observe them from life and draw that way. And of course, sometimes we need references of things that we can't have in our apartment, such as a cow or a dinosaur. But my best advice for a good website would be to search on Google any royalty-free websites that have free images for you to use. Websites such as Unsplash.com, Pixabay, Pexels.com offer a variety of free images. But if you do have the chance to take your own photos, I highly recommend that. Alright, so this first illustration is complete. I've really been loving the intuitive painting and just seeing what happens when I just keep my pencil or paintbrush moving on the paper. And for the next one, I decided to not start with any pencil, but just go straight in with some paint. And while you guys are watching, let's move on to the next question. I get this asked a lot, whether I went to art school and what did I major in. I went to art school starting junior high all the way into high school and after that at university. Luckily in New York, there were art schools that were accepting students in the area to show their portfolios, and they were schools when I was younger based on the arts. So they had dance and art and vocal, and I also got questions if I have any other hobbies, and fun fact, I used to dance professionally, ballroom dancing, and I actually started off dancing ballet. So art and dance were like a huge passion of mine, and I still do dance and kind of do it for myself as a hobby. But when I was applying to the art schools, I was always applying for dance and art. And I would get accepted to both, and then it would be the biggest dilemma for me to choose between the two. But I love both, and I'm really glad that I made the decision that I did. I loved art school, and I was always doing dance right after. And when I began college, also called university, I began as a fine arts major, and then I switched into illustration. And I also received a question about dealing with graduating. I was also really sad because I loved everything about school. I loved all of my professors. I just genuinely loved learning. I loved being in the environment with other artists. And on the contrary of hearing negative things about art school, I had a great experience. But after graduating, I just made sure to keep myself working hard and just keep up with my skills. And though it is a little sad to graduate, new wonderful opportunities and journeys await. Another popular question was what I do to unwind or things I do for fun besides drawing, of course. Well, drawing is something I do to unwind, but every day it's been changing. I've been recently falling in love with reading and actually cooking. I've also been diving into some meditation and yoga. I spend all day creating and actually doing videos and filming and then editing, and those things take up a lot of time. And I have been really doing my best to try to find time for other things so that I can just get a little bit of a different flow going. Sometimes I just put some music on in my room and start dancing. Another favorite thing to do of mine is to go sit on the balcony, watch the sunset. I'm a big sunset fan. And of course, Matilda joins me. And if you guys don't know who she is, she's my fluffy cat who is actually like a dog, so she just follows me around and we hang out. I got a few questions whether or not she was adopted, and actually my neighbor was rebuilding their house and they threw her out onto the street, and she was still a kitten, and we ended up taking her in because we wanted to give her a home, and she is the sweetest, most loving cat ever. A little bit of a crazy story, but we saved her and that's all that matters. But getting back to unwinding, I also live by the ocean, so just walking down to the ocean is really a nice way to just unwind, and listen to the sound of the waves is always just perfect. Let's finish up with a few more questions. Another common one is how much time I take to draw in a day and how much time I take to complete a spread. If I didn't have to eat or sleep, I'd probably be doing it all day long, but depending on the schedule, I would take about 3 to 6 to 8 hours drawing per day, or painting of course. But I always try to find the balance in between my sketchbook and other pieces, personal pieces that I'm working on. And typically I am working on multiple pieces simultaneously, but I'm pretty much used to it since that's how we had to work on projects in art school. As far as taking time for spreads and how long they take, I personally like to create a little bit more finished pieces in my watercolor and mixed media sketchbook, so I do spend more time on them. This spread took me roughly 5 hours both to complete. But honestly, time flies and I don't even notice it. Depending on the type of sketchbook, it usually takes me anywhere from 6 months to 3 years to complete. This is because I can sometimes work in multiple sketchbooks designated for different purposes. For my mixed media sketchbooks, I like to create some more finished pieces and sketches, ink doodles, and I also have a large jumbo sketchbook that I just doodle in some ideas and just a bunch of scritchy scratch thumbnails that I usually pull out if I need to do extra planning. But now that I've finished the sketchbook, I'm really excited to start the next one. Here is today's finished spread. Here's what the palette's looking like. It's always a special feeling when you finish a sketchbook, but it also means it's almost time to start a new one. And of course, I had to get on camera to say hello. So here is the finished sketchbook spread. I'm really happy with the way that these two turned out. I definitely feel like I experimented and I feel really accomplished with what I created. So I really want to say thank you guys so much for all of the questions that I received. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I am so grateful to have you guys here and have all of your support. So again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. There is one more spread left, which I will finish on my own. We ran out of time. This video would have been super long, but I will finish this one before the next video, which is going to be a sketchbook tour. So stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I will have all the links to my sketchbook along with some of the supplies down there as well. I also have an online shop that I recently put out new stickers and prints and a lot of fun little goodies. So be sure to visit my online shop as well as my website. And huge thank you to all of the orders, the mass orders that I received this week. I spent about 3 full days packing, so thank you so much for your orders. Alright guys, that's all for today. I really hope that you enjoyed. It was a really fun sketchbook session and I'm really excited to finish this one. I think that I'm going to be trying out to create my own sketchbook for the next one. I love finishing and starting sketchbooks and I know you guys love the sketchbook tours. So be sure to tune into that video. It's going to be a good one and I will see you guys then. Bye!